Hello dear viewer. Before we start the video, just a small disclaimer. I would suggest before watching this, you should have some knowledge on what an ARG is and what the backrooms are, just so you would be able to understand what I'm going to be talking about. By the way, I will specifically be focusing on the found footage number 3 video whenever I talk about the backrooms. Even if I do say or mention the backrooms series, I'm only referring to the found footage number 3 video. Now, with all that being said, Kylernator start. So, I was just thinking about this question a while ago. Are the backrooms a real life ARG? Well, first, we would need examples of actual ARGs to compare to the backrooms so we can point out some similarities and differences. For this video, I will be using the I Has a Face LOLs and Rochest 313 Roblox ARGs to compare to the backrooms. First, I will quickly be explaining these ARGs' stories. So, the I Has a Face LOLs ARG is about a Roblox player who goes by the same name from the title, and their actual name in real life is Aubrey. In the story, Aubrey is just playing Roblox like any other user, but an entity called JX1DX1 starts stalking Aubrey, takes over her game, and ends up hacking her PC and ruining her life. Well, personally, I haven't watched the Face LOLs series, so this information comes from reading it online. If there's anything incorrect about my explanation, you can correct me in the comments. Now, to explain the Rochest series. Now, I've actually watched this ARG myself, so I do know more about this one than the Face LOLs one, and I can explain it way better. This is not going to be a quick explanation, by the way, so go to this timestamp if you want to skip. So, Rochest313 is another Roblox user who decides to make a game with his friend Cappy0. Everything is going well with their game until the episode discussion when Rochest and Cappy are chatting with each other. Cappy says, "Dude, look behind you!" Rochest turns his camera behind him, revealing a giant tree that randomly spawned in their game. The screen glitches and freezes for a moment, then unfreezes when Rochest gets closer to the tree. Rochest says, "What the heck?" Clearly showing that this tree wasn't put in the game by them and that it isn't normal at all. In the next episode, they investigate the tree again, and Cappy tells Rochest to listen to the tree. So Rochest turns his camera closer to the tree and hears the sound of a heartbeat inside the tree. Ooh, spooky! Skipping forward to the episode communication, we see that Rochest has decided to attach an NPC to one of the tree's roots, and he said it should talk through the NPC's name, but wasn't sure that it would work. But he tries anyways. The first question he asked was, "Can you hear me?" And it responded with "hello," proving that it does work. They ask a bunch of other questions, but once Rochest asks it, "Why are you in our game?" it says "spread." And Cappy asks, "Spread what?" And then everything goes red and glitchy, which I assume was because it really did not want to answer that. Rochest and Cappy run forward on a path in first person, while something stomps loudly behind them. The chaos continues for another minute or so, then the video ends with the game crashing. In the next episode, Rochest makes another game, this time being a small desert. But the tree comes back again, this time a bit smaller though. Cappy suggests that Rochest makes one more game to check if the tree would infect it as well, and sure enough, it did. Rochest eventually makes a forum asking why this is happening, but one person responds by just calling him a liar. The last 2 episodes of the series escalate from this. In the episode Arise, Rochest gets stuck inside the tree, eventually getting caught by what seems to be the actual creature invading his games, and text begins showing on the screen talking about what Rochest's purpose is, and growing and spreading and all that weird stuff. In the last episode, it actually speaks in a different language in the last message, which I don't know the English translation of. After this, the series finally ends. See, I told you I knew more about Rochest. Anyways, Both series have very deep lore, and both do take a while to explain. But unfortunately, I only know more about Raw Chess and almost nothing about I Has a Face lols. But with the explanations done, I want to ask you a quick question. Do you notice anything similar between the two series? Well, both series are fully fictional and haven't actually happened in Roblox. Everything that happened in them was purely programmed and meant to happen. So yes, JX1, DX1 and the Rochester tree aren't and weren't real things. And all the people from both series are completely fine. Now, how do these ARGs have any connection to the Backrooms? Well, same thing. They're all fictional and haven't happened. The only difference being, the Backrooms are based in the real world that we live in, and the previously mentioned series are in a game. Now, since we have enough information, we can finally make some comparisons, and maybe name some differences. Starting with the similarities. Number 1. The Rochester 313, I Has a Face lols, and Backrooms series are all completely fictional, yet they are made to look real. I actually managed to find a word with this meaning. Although it is not an actual word in the official English dictionaries, unfictional is a term for something that exists in their own fictional worlds as if they belong in reality. 2. Every person in each of these series were negatively affected, whether it is physically, mentally, or digitally. Rochester's PC and Roblox account were affected by the tree virus infecting his games, eventually crashing his game multiple times, presumably taking over his PC too. As stated by Rochester, he wasn't able to delete his games after the tree invaded them. And the series seemed to end on a cliffhanger, which the outcome of could have been revealed afterwards, but since the virus presumably took over his PC, it probably decided to make it completely dysfunctional as well. Aubrey from the I Has a Face lols series was affected digitally and mentally, with JX1 DX1 taking over her game and doing things that ended up with her having mental problems in real life, mainly trauma from the events, which possibly could have scaled up to PTSD, as in the series, Aubrey is canonically a child and children tend to be more sensitive. In my opinion, the ARG that could be the most comparable to the Backrooms is the Face lols one, as the protagonists from each series were severely affected mentally, and in the Backrooms, the only physical harm done to the protagonist was from falling into the Backrooms at the start, if not completely unharmed from the fall. Number 3. This kind of relates to my point number 2, but every ending in each of the series were bad. In the Rochester series, his account and presumably his PC were taken over by a virus. In the I Has a Face lols series, her PC also got taken over, but prior to this, she was stalked in-game by JX1 DX1 and was also mentally harmed by the stuff JX1 DX1 did to her, like saying creepy messages, taking over her game, and completely ruining her experience by turning it into a complete nightmare. And in the Backrooms, the protagonist eventually just decides to accept his fate in the Backrooms, understanding that he is trapped with no way out in the endlessly generated maze. And whatever happened to him afterwards is unknown, as his camera runs out of battery after he speaks to it. The last thing recorded by it was him in a room with a red light illuminating it, talking to the camera and saying how much he wants to go home and just completely breaking down. This ending was pretty sad to watch, as we never know what could happen to him in the Backrooms. He could die, or he could be endlessly wandering forever and slowly going insane. Whatever happened to him next was simply never shown. Anyways, moving on from my points, that's everything I have to compare between the ARGs and the Backrooms. I did talk about differences earlier, but honestly, there are none. The only differences I noticed were obviously the Roblox ones were in a game and the Backrooms were in real life. Other differences are very minor and obvious, like protagonists, enemies, locations, etc. Anyways, moving on from my points, That's everything I have to compare between the ARGs and the Backrooms. I did talk about differences earlier, but honestly there are none. The only differences I noticed were obviously the Roblox ones were in a game and the Backrooms were in real life. Other differences are very minor and obvious, like protagonists, enemies, locations, etc. So, I have finally managed to come to my conclusions. It is time for the answer to my question. Are the Backrooms a real-life ARG? The answer is yes, definitely. There's no denying that the Backrooms could count as a real-life ARG. After all, an ARG, standing for Alternate Reality Game, are stories taking place in a game while either having its own lore added into said game or making up completely new lore, and the Backrooms does exactly that. Although the Backrooms aren't real, we can imagine for a moment that they suddenly become real. That's new information brought into the real world about people randomly going missing, and a company called Async investigating the Backrooms and finding cameras with recordings of people exploring them. New real life lore. You get it? Well, that's pretty much my video done. We gathered information, made comparisons, made points, and came to conclusions with my question, and having a valid answer. If you made it here, thank you for watching, and I'd suggest liking this video and subscribing just to help support my channel. You can turn notifications off if you want, I don't care about that. Also, if you want to interact with me and my community, join my Discord server. The link is in the description of this video. And so, with all that being said, KylerNader out. Wait! Before we finish the video for good, I want to give a shout out to 3 people. So, the first one is for the person who made these awesome new PNGs for me, and he asked me to give him a shout out for his Discord user. His user is @stompap_pa. He made really good art for me, and I'm really thankful that he was actually willing to do it. Now, the other 2 people were just my friends who managed to guess the title of the video right before it even released. They asked me to give a shout out for their YouTube channels. Their users are I can't read this, and @HelloDuty. I'd suggest subscribing to them to support their channels. They're awesome. So now we've reached the end of the video. If you're still here, thank you for watching. My videos don't usually get this much recognition, and I really appreciate everyone who watches them. And with all that being said, KylerNader out.